Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and we love releasing content for y'all. But one thing we want to put out there, just kind of as a disclaimer or a pastoral recommendation, if you will, is that while we're going through these movies, we certainly have a set list, and not every one of them is our favorite. It is also true that not every one of them we necessarily recommend. So some of them are going to be a little bit more for mature audiences, and a lot of the subject matter and material is going to be for mature audiences. And so we just ask you guys, just listener discretion advised. Me, Marty, and Ryan, we're always going to keep the podcast itself clean. It's going to be clean content, but some of the subject material might be more appropriate for mature audiences. So just keep that in mind. As I said, this is not a recommendation on the films. This is us just walking through each of these movies and trying to put out good content. We love the opportunity for you guys to watch these movies along with us, but by no means are you expected to, and are we wholeheartedly approving of them. So just like I said, listener discretion advised.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Three Dudes in a Movie. I'm Marty.
I'm Jacob.
And Jacob, I have just one question for you. Why are you wearing that jacket?
I'm cold.
That's right, friends. We watched The Pianist this week.
The Pianist.
That's right. A movie starring Adrien Brody about a man who goes through and survives the Holocaust and the real-life experience of this gentleman. This is entirely based on true stories. We had the opportunity to watch that this week. Jacob, take it away.
Yeah, so The Pianist. It's not really subtitled, but the I guess the gotcha, the hook 'em line was music was his passion, survival was his masterpiece.
I like it.
Did he really? I don't know. Anyway, directed by Roman Polanski, screenplay by Ronald Hardwood, based on the autobiographical book The Pianist, the same guy as the name, starring Adrien Brody and then a bunch of other people I can't remember because that's pretty much how I felt about it. Released, at least according to Google, December 4th, 2002. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, won 3 of them.
Which ones did it win?
It won Best Actor in a Lead Role, Best Director, and Best Writing of Adapted Screenplay.
How exciting. And so my first question for you is, where were you on December 4th, 2002?
Wow, that's a little bit different. Where was I? So I would have been 7, right? Yeah, right?
Yeah, and I was 5.
So I was in what? First grade, second grade.
You were there, I wasn't.
It was December 4th, first week of December. So I was probably in school at Spring Hill Elementary. It was second grade, so it was Miss Baker's class. I'm trying to remember some friends or compadres that I would have been with. I don't know.
You've provided plenty.
Yeah,
thank you for
probably sharing. So back in the day, Marty, story time. Back in the day, when I was younger, let's say like younger than 18, and some of 18, I would go, get this, Ryan, you ready? You better hold on to the table. So I would go for at least 8 hours a day to this building where other 18-year-olds and younger,
or not so 18-year-olds.
Yeah, hopefully. And and they would we would learn all sorts of things. And so I would be probably, I don't know if you guys, well, Ryan, you didn't have that experience. You were homeschooled.
For kindergarten.
You were homeschooled for kindergarten.
No.
Oh, you weren't. You didn't go to school in kindergarten.
He went to public school in kindergarten. The third option, the last guess.
Yes, because we all went to public school in kindergarten. Yeah, where were you? Do you have a specific December 4th story? We all have one.
That's right. I mean, I remember going to the theater on opening day, and okay, that's not true at all. Yeah, I don't know. I was
watching what?
Nothing at all. I was not in the theater that day. I don't know where I was. You're right, probably in school.
Yes, unless it released on a Saturday, which seems kind of weird.
I did not go to the theaters on opening day for this movie.
Hold on. I was trying to think. Speaking of kids, did you know, this is our first fun fact of The Pianist.
Oh, my favorite segment.
Adrien Brody was the youngest person to date to win, I guess that means today, to win an Academy Award for Best Actor.
How old was he?
He was 7. It was crazy. 29.
He was only 29 in this movie.
Yeah, that was 20 years ago. He's got to be.
Right.
So he's almost 50.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And sorry to any of our listeners who are roughly that age, who are now almost 50.
half, or they're a year away from half a century.
Hey,
There's
congratulations.
some people we know that are pretty close to there, and they might be listening,
That's
but
right.
they know we're
They're
talking
they're
about. They
listening,
know
and
we're talking about
They
them.
know that they're important to us, and we're making fun of them.
Yeah, Marty, are you an Adrien Brody? Well, hold on. I'll ask you two questions. One, are you an Adrien Brody fan? And then it's pretty important. And then more importantly, too, are you an Adrian fan?
Yes and yes.
Oh wow.
Adrien Brody is a fine actor. I think he did a fine job in this, and we'll get into that later, of course.
Yep.
But I have seen him in some other things. I have not seen him in one of your favorite movies, The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that one. But I have seen him in some other things. Embarrassingly enough, the only one off the top of my head I can recall is Predators, but he did a fine job in Predators.
He was in that one.
Recall.
Wasn't he?
Yeah, it's not a very good movie, but it's fun, and he's fun in it.
Yeah.
And Adrian, are we discussing Rocky's girlfriend or the Division III college in Michigan?
How's it spelled? It's gotta be spelled the same way.
Don't,
because I'm pretty sure Adrian Peterson is like with an
and
Adrian Brody's with
an
an E. I'll tell you, my 7th grade teacher. Oh, man, we're going to school again.
That's right.
7th grade history teacher, Arkansas State history teacher. His name was Adrian, and he was a delight. So I am a fan, but they did not spell it the same way.
Okay.
And also, this is called a callback to like 30 seconds ago. I do remember we were talking about going to the movie theater in 2002. I do actually remember going to the movie theater, not to watch this movie, but watching something slightly better, and that would be Star Wars Attack of the Clones.
Ah,
yes,
that is
pretty good, right?
Far more fun than this movie.
Oh wow. Oh, that was a contentious statement. I feel the heat.
That's right.
Yeah, there was.
Are we ready to talk about how we feel about this movie?
Well, or we can compare Star Wars Attack of the Clones to the Pianist.
Well,
you jump in. So go ahead. Do you want to talk about it? I was going to say we have, like it says, autobiographical. I did not know this. Going into it. Did you know going into it is like kind of based off an autobiography?
No, I had no idea this was a true story until we saw at the end when
Yeah.
it said that this man was real.
Yeah. So it is based on the autobiographical book of the same name. It came out in 1946, so well after the Holocaust. A Holocaust memoir by the Polish Jewish pianist and composer. Is it Vladislav?
Yes, they call them Vladi.
Spielman, a Holocaust survivor. And the film was a co-production of France, the United Kingdom, Germany, and Poland. So, hey, everybody just kind of pitched in and helped make this movie, whatever that looks like.
Trying to tell the story of what really happened.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Marty, go ahead and kind of walk us through it. What really happened? Do we know?
We do know, at least from the perspective of our dear friend Vladi. May he rest in peace.
Yes, he is. He died in the making of the movie.
That's right.
Passed away.
That's right.
Yep.
But his fingerprints were all over the project, and we think it was better for it. That being said, so a quick synopsis of the plot is it starts us off in a recording studio in Poland when things just immediately go all to garbage. There are bombs everywhere. The studio that Adrien Brody is standing in explodes.
Yes.
And he has to run home.
Yes.
He is playing piano live on radio because that is his gig. And he refuses to stop until the building explodes.
Because Adrien Brody's resilient.
That's right. And we see that across all of his movies.
Oh, a quick question. Do you think that was actually him playing?
I know for a fact it was not.
Really?
That's
Did
right.
you look it up?
It said at the end of the movie.
That it was really him playing?
It said that it wasn't him playing.
Who was actually playing? I don't remember that.
Yes, very, very European name.
However, he did learn to play piano for his role.
He did.
Yes.
So maybe he was...
Probably played like parts of it.
Hey, maybe he was.
He probably played it enough. You think he probably played it like he auditioned? He was like, "Hey, Roman, check this out," and he's like, "Da-da-da-da-da," and like, wow,
hot cross buns.
I could use you for a Piano Man movie.
You ready to watch or ready to be in a 3-hour movie, Mr. Brody?
And he said
2.5 hours, please.
Yes. Okay, so he goes. He's resilient. He doesn't want to stop playing, even though.
And then the building explodes.
Yes.
And on his way out, he crosses a pretty girl who is married to his buddy, and he literally says to his buddy, "We're Where you been hiding this one there, pal? Something along those lines.
I was confused. Sorry, I'm confused.
I mean, yeah, the confusion begins now.
So he knew the guy?
Yes, the actor buddy.
But he didn't know her.
This correct. And this is the first in a long line of conversations Jacob and I had while we were watching this movie where we said, which one is that?
Mm-hmm.
Regarding the characters. Because we could not follow the continuity of anyone besides Adrien Brody himself. Pretty recognizable fella. Star of the movie. Pretty hard to miss him. That being said, Adrien Brody's character, Vladi, then retreats to his family. When in their home, we begin to watch them as news comes out about the different rules, regulations, and enforcements that the government is placing. And Jacob, do you remember what the first one was?
No, because it came so quickly. Okay, hold on. It was. I got it. I'm picturing one. Well, I guess technically it would be. Was it the armband one?
I believe the armband was second.
Okay, well they walk out. He goes with Dorota. That's the
Yes.
woman.
Yep.
I would say love interest, but she's married, and so so they go to the coffee shop. Says no Jews. What else was it? Oh, yeah.
That was the first
the
one.
only 2,000.
That's right. The
whatever
2,000
of those things.
Polish dollars.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's just say that. Yeah, whatever.
Sorry to the Polish for getting your money wrong.
Yeah, always
but
get the money wrong.
But you're right. Yeah, the coffee shop was the first true thing, and Dorota is a German, right?
Is she?
Or is she at least not Jewish?
She's not Jewish.
She's definitely not Jewish.
Yeah.
I shouldn't just assume she was German, but the movie is not very clear on these kind of things. It is a very art house style movie, and so therefore it expects you to be a little more intelligent than I suppose that I am, and that's all right with me. There are plenty of movies like this that I enjoy a ton, that are basically just 3 hours of paintings stitched together with a little bit of plot. Blade Runner 2049 is one of those, and I could watch that painting all day. Do you agree when I call this an attempt at one of those style of movies?
Well, yes, it is. Yes, definitely more art house, slow, right? It kind of builds out. I struggle with the idea of tension. I did not feel the tension of this movie.
That's understandable. Clearly, it was there because it's based on real events. But you're right. Maybe it was in an attempt to make real the horrors of what actually happened.
Well, it felt like everything was compounded, but then it wasn't. Like it was the best times, it was the worst of times. Kind of how it felt. Like it was like, you can't have more than 2,000 zlotys. That's what they are. There's zlotys. Yeah. You can't have more than those. More than 2,000. Oh, we got $5,000. I got to figure out how to get rid of it.
Yeah, we'll hide it.
Yeah, we'll hide it. We'll hide it underneath the newspaper. Which, okay, looking back, so that guy's an idiot,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
But also, like, he's just continually like, I don't know. I thought, oh, okay, so he's not the brightest character in this movie, and then he continually finds himself in trouble with the resistance, or he's resisting something, resisting the German occupation. But anyway, it's that. But anyway, but then he goes to like the coffee shop, no Jews,
money restrictions.
The officer, the German officer, like slaps his father for not bowing to him, tells you have to walk in the gutter.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these things kind of compound, but then it like goes away for a bit. He does something kind of semi-fun, and you're like, okay. And then comes back, and it's like he's walking along the street. Well, they put him in ghettos. They have to wait 25 minutes to cross the street,
yes,
which like
just to literally cross the
another
street.
day in Los Angeles, am I right? Anyway, so yeah, make them dance and like humiliate them. And he's like walking along the border of the ghetto, and there's like teenage boys dying, and like people are dying in the streets, and I don't know, it just happens so quickly. And there's not a lot of time to sit there and really process what's going on, what's happening, which I don't know. I'm not there. But at the same time, I think I found myself difficult at finding it. I knew it was going to be difficult to kind of talk about it because it is historical. and it's based off of some guy's life. So the events of what happened, we have to take into consideration. But we're not doing that. We're not like talking about. We're not reviewing the events of what happened. We're reviewing.
We're talking about the film itself.
Well, and we're talking about the story in which it was presented through this movie. And so it's like, well, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, and so. But I never really felt the tension or felt like there was a chance to process it. I just felt like it was just whatever. And then they moved on to the next scene. And so you could come back and say, well, that's how it was. That's how it happened. It happened like that. I was like, that's true. But you as a director, like if that's what you want to gloss over, then that's your choice. And there was so many things that I was like, and this is what I mean by, I would say, starring Adrien Brody and some other people, because there's so many like characters and moments and places that they're running through. It just felt really choppy. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, there were moments when you're not even sure what year it is. Until the numbers pop up on the screen, and it's August 1942. It was just 1939.
Yeah, you have to assume that it when it time jumps, it shows like 2 years later. You have to assume it covered like 3-month intervals in between those.
Something like that. But none of that is ever made clear. And you're absolutely right about things like the tension and feeling it. It is the director's responsibility. And while there are plenty of things that they nailed in this movie that they were going for, trying to use just heavy-handed moments to really punch you in the gut amidst what I called it earlier, which is a moving painting in a way, where this movie is made just as much to be a beautiful example of what film can be in its purest and most beautiful form. But while also trying to get you in the feels, because obviously what's happening is emotional. I mean, he's trying to save that young boy as he's coming through under the wall, and he's killed by a soldier before he can get through, and he holds him in his arms. And that scene...
Why did that boy die?
Just falls flat. We don't know why that boy dies.
Yeah.
And then we just see him absolutely as a rag doll. And some of these moments are ruined by those kind of things. Do you remember a woman gets shot in the street? Obviously a horrific thing. And then her body just folds on top of itself. And you're just like, that literally just looked like I died in Call of Duty. Like, This movie is shooting at realism and does a very good job often. But then it tries to be heavy-handed, and it just does something else entirely.
Well, or the parts where his, like, it's like, oh, I should go check in on my brother. He's probably out getting in trouble again. And then, like, his brother looks like he weighs, like, 20 pounds. But Adrien Brody hasn't, like, everybody else is changing, but then he doesn't until the last, like, 10 minutes of the film because he has, like, bushy beard and stuff. But it's like, up until that point, you have no idea that he was going through stuff. They're like... because his brother just looks awful, and then he runs into Dorota or whatever. He's like, "Oh, Vladi, you look awful." I was like, "I don't know." Yeah. He looks kind of this. I don't know. Maybe it's Adrien Brody. He looks kind of the same.
Yeah, he's naturally a thin man, so maybe it was.
Yeah, maybe
they didn't film the scenes where he actually lost some weight until the very last moment.
Yeah. So, and also, I guess it's kind of a background. Is like talking about. It's artsy, it's visionary. I'm sure it was like a passion project. Like Roman Polanski, whose family survived, is from Poland. Family escaped and survived during World War II. So I'm sure there's a lot of that.
I'm sure the project meant the world to him. And you can see that in a lot of ways.
But I don't know. It's just like it was fine. Who was this entire just rotating cast? Who's your favorite? Who did you feel like you connected with?
What a good question. But that's a difficult one to answer because Adrien Brody's character is the only one I can say I could pick out of a lineup.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
Is that what you were fishing for here?
No, no. Go ahead.
Because we genuinely had a moment when we were watching this movie where we talked for 5 minutes like there's a couple on screen that it was a different couple. And then you looked it up. It's like, no, that was that couple. And I'm just like, are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure she did this earlier. And it's like, no, well, she did that earlier, but it was a time jump. Yeah. And so now she's pregnant. And it's just like, what is going on? And this whole
And then
time,
the next time you see her, it's like he's like laid up in bed.
he ate
like,
a bad potato and he's sick.
and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "It's okay. The baby's elsewhere. I had the baby. It's at mom and dad or grandma and grandpa." I was like, "Oh, okay. So there's another character that we'll never meet."
Yeah, and we just don't see her again.
Yeah.
And legitimately, like, people just leave his life in this movie, and that is what happened. I mean, in real life, that is what happened to
Sure.
people
Yeah.
who went
Whatever.
through this.
Yeah.
A disappointing, heartbreaking reality. His family gets put on a train, and
I'm sorry. It's a very serious moment. I just can't believe the dude Hooker left and like he just left. He was like, deuces.
So when his family is getting put on a train, for any of you who didn't watch it, which I'll be honest, I imagine as most of you, you saw it was 2.5 hours long.
Okay, so we're already typecasting our
That's
audience.
Right.
This is great.
I'm here to generalize you if you're
I
listening.
really hope we don't have a World War II expert in that. I was there. Okay, I'm sorry. Did you really do that? Let me know.
So, an old family friends who we are introduced to as if we know them.
They're all old family friends.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
But
all,
am I not
one of
right?
them.
We are introduced to these people as if we are supposed to know who they are.
And it's like they hold up for a scene and then they're gone. And it's like the next problem.
The only guy who came back a few times was this Polish guy who served in the Jewish army, lack of a better word. The Nazis employed.
Yeah, they're watchdogs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
that was that guy.
They were
I couldn't tell because he wasn't wearing his.
He was introduced to us as viewers in the family, offering Adrien Brody and his brother's character a position in the Jewish German militia
regime. Yeah.
Regime, yes. And they're like, no, we will not beat our people with sticks to command force. And so later on, that guy pulls Adrien Brody's character out of the lineup as they're going to the trains and tells him to run. And Adrien Brody's like, but that's my family. And he said, get out of here. And he just leaves. And we don't see his family again. And this is halfway through the movie.
Yep. Yeah. Also, question, kind of going back to when the first time or one of the times that his brother gets arrested and Adrien Brody goes, hey, you can do something. He's like, do you have 20 zlotys or whatever? And he's like, no, I don't have any money. Or no, wait, he didn't say that. He said that afterwards when his brother, like, when he
his brother
assumed. But he goes, I hear you can help or you have influence, you can help me. And the dude just like looks at him, and is like, huh, and then like walks away. And then Adrien Brody's like, okay, I guess he's done with me. But then his brother walks up and is like, yo, what are you doing? So I mean, like, he got out.
He saves his brother.
But what happened? Like, he was just like, I hear you can help people. And he's like, oh, he said it. I can help people here.
I can help, and therefore I do.
I don't understand.
So yes, before his family gets whisked away on a train, that's probably inappropriate, but that's what I said.
Whisked away
on a train.
Where are they going, Marty?
His brother, his brother got arrested, and we are to assume that he is going to be killed. And this Polish soldier rescues him, and then later rescues Adrien Brody's character on their way to the trains. And this character was one of many who was just sort of shoehorned in. And like we've said, we're supposed to know who they are. And maybe because they reoccur a time or two, that we know who they are.
It could be I'm really awful at remembering faces. I don't know.
But I'm right there with you. The only reason I remember this gentleman is because he was in the militia.
Yep.
And he had that same mustache.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So,
well, they all wear like the same hats and stuff, and you're just like, okay, or like it's all hats and gray coats.
Yes,
and you're like,
it's
okay,
a colorless movie.
Yep. Yeah.
Which I think I noticed at the beginning, and I mentioned this to you, and we're not certain, but something that because I don't want to just sit here and say this movie was just okay. Like I don't want to tell anyone you shouldn't watch this movie.
It's a downer.
It's beautiful. It is a downer.
Yeah, it's not one I watched to make me feel better.
At the beginning of the movie, I noticed, and I mentioned to you, look at the contrast of how gray everything is with their clothing. Their clothes really pop. They're really colorful. And then shortly after
because they're rich. They're rich. Anyway, sorry.
They might have been. But he's a famous pianist. His sister's a lawyer. Mm-hmm. But as time goes on, their clothes just gray and dim like the world around them. if that was on purpose, that's beautiful.
But it's not like time goes on. It's like legitimately 5 minutes later, and then it's like,
True.
oh, in the world of
The
gray.
colors
and
do
like,
just stop.
Okay, well, that's
Which
not
makes me think it
Descent.
might have not been a decision, and it might have just been a
Yeah.
result of the fact that we were watching an HD touch-up of the movie.
Well, no, it was like a palette. It was a color palette. I mean,
Naturally.
yeah.
But
And even like, okay, that one shot that we talked about, you're like, okay, that was a cool shot. When he hops over, he gets out of the. Was he in the? He was in the hospital. Flamethrower, and he hops over the wall into the older part of town that had been.
And every building is just
everywhere you can see. It's
absolutely
just gray,
dismantled.
and it's just him. It reminds me of like I Am Legend or something.
Honestly, yes,
pretty
ghost town, truly.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, but
Yes,
not.
yeah, beautiful.
Of course, it's not awesome.
Haunting.
So, who's your favorite? Is it the guy with the mustache?
I was hoping I could get away from answering this one.
I like that we call him guy with mustache
Guy with
because
mustache.
I'm pretty sure it's what he is in the
Soldier-
script. And if you look
soldier
at
man
the
with mustache.
if you look at the credits, that's probably half of them were like guy who does this, man who does that,
Yeah.
woman who got shot in the forehead.
Yeah, we saw one guy, and it was the character who slapped his father, and his name was Man Who Slapped Father. In the
I'm
credits.
not really quite sure who that one is.
No, but that's going on his resume. I was Man Who Slapped Father in The Pianist.
Yeah.
My favorite character, is it cheating to say Adrien Brody? Probably. But I'm going to say Adrien Brody just because he, despite this movie being a tad too long for artistic purposes, he does do a very good job.
What did you like about him? What was some of your...
I think his mannerisms quite often really were the only thing that seemed realistic. And that is not always true. And that's where I struggle to straight up say he was the best part of this movie, because there are scenes where he's reacting appropriately to what's happening. You know, he's running away from the hospital as it's being burned to the ground in front of him.
Right.
And he's running away, and it's horrifying. That's very accurate. But then he watches a family of 9 get gunned down in the street, and he's just kind of like, oh, that happened.
Well, and we were joking, every time he looks out a window, like there's a gunfight, somebody
every
dies.
Time this man
like,
looks out a window,
Adrian,
stop
looking out windows.
He's
really
in
killing
one
us.
apartment for 2 years. He looks out the window 3 times, and all 3 times there's a street
war that breaks out.
And yes, there is a war going on, but we can.
I don't want to say
he's allowed to look out the window other times.
I don't want to say he's the one that starts it, but I just want to say there were no dead bodies in that street, and every time he looked out, there were 3 more dead bodies, just packed on top of each other.
Is it causation? I'm not sure. Correlation, causation.
Probably, yes, absolutely.
But we're allowed to say it is because it's a movie.
Yes.
Did you have a favorite character?
Well, so this is going to talk, this goes really good in our episode 0. So if you haven't listened to episode 0, if that's what we're calling it, I don't know. If you haven't listened to the first episode before
Get on that now.
Go listen to it, do your homework, because we had a guess. What was it going to be about? And we were pretty darn close if you don't think about it. Because we talked about dueling piano players. Yes, piano players that are playing against each other. And we almost had that.
There was something of that there.
My favorite character was Holfield or whatever, the German officer. Yeah, the German officer. He Adrian Brody's like climbing up in this attic, trying to stay sneaky. Hears somebody playing piano. He doesn't see it. He doesn't think anything of it, I guess. And because he's completely oblivious, and then he goes down to the bottom floor
to open his can of vegetable juice,
something, and then the German officer finds him, and then he's like, play something for me. And so then he goes and plays, and he's like, you're pretty good. Do you want to stay up in the attic while we do office work?
Yeah, and he sets up in one of the main offices for the German military.
Do you feel like I would say that's my favorite. That was probably my favorite character.
Yes,
once he was 5 minutes we had.
Once he was introduced, everything was better.
Don't really understand his story or what it was that made him sympathetic towards Adrien Brody's character.
Well, we see him admit to Adrien Brody's character that they're going to lose. Like, he's pretty confident the Russians have them. Adrien Brody remarks on the gunfire he hears.
Yeah, across the street.
The Russians are
across
just across the river.
Yeah.
So you can hold out a couple of weeks, you'll be fine. And so I think it was just maybe the fact that he's coming to terms. Like, and there's been enough bloodshed. The German officer says, "Don't thank me, thank God." We can only hope that his will can still be done in some of this, or something along those lines.
Right.
And so, I mean, what a moral dilemma that may be for if this was a Christian man, but a commanding officer in Nazi Germany. I mean, what a internal conflict that must be for a guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have no idea because there's no background on him. So
that's true. And I think
very little.
This is the character that is most okay with, because when we get the wrap up text, we find out his name and when he died, and that's all we get. Because I think that's all that Vladislav had on him at all when he started to write the book.
Yeah.
And when the movie script was getting written some 60 years later.
Yeah, I don't know. I think also the man only plays piano twice in the entire movie. I guess 3 if you count the credit scene. So it's kind of a misnomer. It's like, what does this guy do? And he's like, I play the piano. It's like, yeah, but do you really? Like, let me ask you this. What's the statute limitations when you say, like, you do something? Like, I am a carpenter. Oh, very cool. What do you make? Well, I haven't really made anything in 5 years. It's like, well, okay, that's a hobby now. That's not really a vocation. You know what I mean? What do you think?
I think he gets a pass on account of the Holocaust.
No, I don't think he does. Because, okay, what I wanted him to say was, I thought he was going to say something cheeky, like, what are you? And he's like, I'm a survivor or something like that.
And then I'm a survivor, not gonna give up. Just starts playing
piano in that. The German's like, please stop.
Yeah, he's like, all right, no vegetable water for you.
Yeah. What do you think is like if you're in a conversation, okay, pretend like the Holocaust. Well, pretend like we're not living in a world where the Holocaust, like we like pretend like now it's today.
Anyone feel free to clip that
pretend
statement out.
I didn't say anything. I just said pretend like the Holocaust wasn't yesterday. Like right now, it was not yesterday. So if you are talking to someone and you're like, hey, what do you do? And they say, I am an elementary school student. And they're like, what?
And you're speaking
I'm a second grader.
35-year-old man.
Yeah, I'm a second grader. It's December 4th, 2002. What do you say?
What?
But then he goes, and then he walks you in and goes, do this math homework. And he does addition.
Are you asking me what
very good.
What I say to a 35-year-old man who just said,
good second grader.
I am a wee lad.
Adrien Brody, the second grader.
When I watch it,
you know what I mean?
As long as it was shorter than this movie, yes. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
May we all be second graders in art.
You're asking me what I say to this man? What's the question?
If that's what you heard, yes, that's what you say. He says, I am a second grader. What do you say?
Bro, I'm probably like, you really mean that, don't you?
And then he goes, dude, Adrien Brody can walk into our basement right now, sit down next to me, and I would say, Adrien Brody, what are you doing? You've got second grade class to get to.
Adrien Brody, you're supposed to be playing the piano
you have
like
a recital.
the movie.
You have a recital tomorrow night. And then he says, what's his titular line? What's the thing that he does? What's like in the whole movie?
Besides play the piano?
Well, I'm just trying to think what's his line as a character? He just goes, I'm cold.
I mean, that was the best part of the movie.
That was the best part.
It's funny. All this to be said, like, we just had a pretty good laugh at expense of this director's decisions.
I don't care. That's what half this movie
totally
is.
Fine. Yeah, I want to emphasize that we're laughing at the movie, not the Holocaust. But
if you want to go do that, though, you can't. Just not.
There are podcasts
not.
for that.
Yeah,
we don't want to be that podcast.
No, yeah.
But seriously, all that to be said, it truly paints a picture of this movie's issue, which is the fact that we're bordering the line here between trying to say that this is a serious art piece about a man who survived the Holocaust, and this is a movie. This is a film, and I don't think the movie separates us enough from the fact that I'm a viewer in a movie right now. And it's trying to. And that's the issue. Does that make sense when I say that?
Yeah, I think so.
What comes to your mind when I say that?
Well, I don't know. I think the older, this is something else. I kind of what you're talking about. The older I get, the more I wonder. Again, going back to separating the story from the events, especially something like this, because seriously, I mean, we joke around like second grade. You were 5, but it felt like around the turn of the millennia.
How smart of a second grader are you if you're 5? Pretty smart.
I don't know how that works.
You're fine. Continue.
But it felt like right there, like there was sort of a revisit of World War II events, World War II themes. And I only say that because it doesn't feel like recently it felt like super concentrated around like 2000 to 2010 or 2005.
And even a little before then with Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List.
Yeah. Okay. So like 95 to 2005. Yeah, like that was 10 years of like, let's take everything that happened in human, like these, really 6 or 7 years of human history. If you count like most of the lead any of that stuff, like that 6-year period. And like, let's just like
tell every
like,
tale,
every story,
all the stories,
every single one of them. And so, since then, not so much. I think audiences of any medium start to get a little bit tired of it. It's almost like zombies in the horror genre.
Superhero movies?
Nah, well, not yet. Maybe
not yet.
yeah. But so to watch this was like took me back. This is funny. Took me back in time, not to the Holocaust. Took me back
second grade.
To second grade, exactly. Yeah, because it was like. It was Call of Duty. It was like these movies. It was all of these things like Call of Duty. It was like grounded sort of, where it was like, back when they cared
it's
about
World War II and that's
yes,
it.
Pretty much. So there was a part of me that was watching it, feeling like as an audience, like younger, like it took me back to that time. It was weird, but then also had me considering like considerations of, okay, I'm older now. I'm a little bit used to like narrative storytelling and that kind of thing. How much and just kind of putting it against the backdrop of World War II, it's like, well, how much do I critique it based off of what it's trying to say? Is this really, because then you're like visually you're like, is this really what happened? You say, yeah, of course, but then it's like, even if say the events of what happened, but then to actually see it as it was, like, okay, was that actually what it looked like? Was that actually what life in the Warsaw Ghetto looked like? I don't know. That kind of had me. That was like I was wondering that and I don't know. I would assume, but it just allowed me to kind of like take it all in and it was interesting things to consider. So
there is so much to consider,
especially I'll say especially when you mentioned superhero movies. Maybe
are there a few of those? Have you seen? What superhero movies?
I don't know. There's a few big ones.
Okay,
maybe
I'll have to watch one. Sometime.
Yeah. We have to be careful that like we talk about artsy. Also, like our movies now, media kind of drift away to the fantastical, to the superhuman, to these like exaggerated stories.
Absolutely.
And so the few times we get the grounded ones, and we're like, I don't know.
You're right to not let modern cinema weigh down expectations in a certain way.
Right.
But also, this movie is telling a true story from one man's perspective. It's an unreal story, but it also wants to win a lot of awards, and it did, and that's awesome.
It won 3 of them. It won 3 Academy Awards.
3 awards for one movie is awesome. I mean, one is...
I could probably do it.
You think you could do it?
Yeah.
Well, we're just now starting a podcast, maybe another project.
It's going to be really grounded.
10 years from now, when TDM media is huge, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to be said about the fact that this movie is pulling itself in different directions unintentionally, because it is telling a true story while trying to be beautiful. I'll keep saying it. It's a moving painting, and it has. You mentioned that time that I said I love that shot. I brought up the coloration of the clothes and how they go gray. There are a few establishing shots of broken cityscapes that were absolutely gorgeous. And I don't want to throw this in a tub saying this movie was made to win awards. This movie was, I'm sure, a passion project. Much more important to tell a story.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately what an art film seeks to do.
Well, and to your point, I'm looking through here now, like of some trivia. This isn't really trivia. This is more of opinion, but I imagine it's probably grounded in some sort of technique. I don't know. You can call me out on it. I don't care. Notice how director of photography Powell Edelman slowly drains the color out of all the scenes as the film progresses to signify the deterioration of the city and of Spielman himself.
So we did notice that.
Also, okay, sorry. No, going back, I'm going to rail on this a little bit.
That's why we're here. I mean, we are not
You're going to tell
professional
me,
critics, but
you're going to tell me this random German officer comes up and says, play something. He hasn't played in 5 years. And granted, he's a little creaky at first. Like, he's like kind of slow, kind of just build up. But then he starts firing off. And dude, it's like it comes back to him. I don't know. Like, I felt like it was an opportunity throughout the course of events to say, world's falling apart, city's falling apart, everything, my family's gone. I'm deteriorating. I didn't really see that out of him. Like I saw, physically, but there was no like mental. You just like walk up and.
We did see that smile as he was cracking that can of vegetables.
Well, that's probably because he's hungry. I smile every time I crack a thing of vegetables.
That's fair. You smile when you open vegetables?
Yeah, dude. I'm just crazy like
we
that.
have lists for people like you.
Schindler's List. Coming up sometime.
Sometime in the next 100 weeks.
Yeah. But I don't know. I felt like I wanted to, that was what I came away with, where there were moments where I went, man, it'd be great if I saw this portrayed. And then it never did. So for me, it was, he sits down at the piano and he just like has a moment. I don't know. You said you had felt that. I didn't feel it, but you said you had.
Yes, I'll elaborate on that.
Yeah.
That's between the German officer being introduced and kind of like you said, kind of almost saving the story. He makes the movie better when he was your favorite character. He makes the movie better when he's introduced. He adds a little bit more life. But that, and
I don't know, the German officer that adds a little bit more life.
He did. This one specific guy did.
Sure.
He saves his life ultimately,
but the rest of them added a little bit more death.
A lot more death.
Yeah, a lot more.
But then he makes Adrian Brody's character play the piano, and what I saw as we sit there and watch him play the piano for what has to at least be 4 minutes.
Yeah,
is I think the culmination of the last 5 years of this man's life, not getting to touch the love of his life, the piano.
Or that married woman.
Or that married woman. Because he's a seemingly lonely man before this. He has his family, and he literally says to his sister in the movie, I wish I had known you better. He says that to his sister, which is a quality moment.
No. That's poor screenwriting. I'm just kidding.
There's something to be said about that.
Yeah, because and she said, what are you talking about? I'm your sister.
We grew up together. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're a lawyer and I'm a pianist. This could never work. I'm still your sister.
I'm your sister. Are you married? No, I'm your sister.
But we watch him just absolutely go to town on this piano. And it's passionate and it's beautiful.
I imagine
and it's haunting.
The meme of the guy. Sorry, I'm going to ruin what you're portraying.
It's not exactly
the meme
what
of the
we're
guy.
doing in this
The meme
whole
of the
podcast.
guy. The meme of the guy on the beach and it's like on fire.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, but remember, this movie's about gorillas or whatever, and it's like, it's like Phil Collins going on.
It's just the episode of SpongeBob where Gary runs away. The music doesn't have to go too hard.
Yeah.
You're right. But I think this one scene almost, and I'm thinking to myself, because prior to this scene and the introduction of this German officer, it was nothing short of at least 45 minutes of Adrien Brody running, building the building, looking for something to eat. He drinks some really gross water, which he had to. We almost threw up. We get it. In the moment, you have to, but it was gross.
Dirty water.
Dirty, scary water.
It's not.
He carries around this can of vegetables like a madman.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty funny. It's like a can of okra or something.
It's like okra. That's what I kept calling it, at least.
Yeah.
And it was honestly pretty funny.
I don't know. I don't read Polish. I really could have used a
and
code
so
word.
he finally gets to go to the piano. And after 45 minutes of something that should have been 15, which is an awful thing for someone to say to a director, but I said it.
It's okay. Roman Polanski's not going to be
That's-
listening to
I'm
this,
sure I think
or
we'll
he
get
might. I don't know. He might. I don't know.
If Roman Polanski listens to this,
I think he.
I'm all right with that. You know,
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
it's,
all right.
you don't think he will? I'm gonna try to get him to.
Yeah.
But getting sidelined, I want to say this scene was powerful to me because it breaks us from the monotony that 45 minutes put us in. And he's going to town on this piano, and it's beautiful and it's haunting, and I'm just enjoying listening to it.
Yep.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Then there's 25 more minutes of this movie.
You think it should have ended there?
I thought if it did, it would have went up. I don't know what ratings. You're the one who's going to get to rate this. I'm ranking the movies. You're rating them.
Right.
I don't know how you're going to rate them, but in my book, this might have put it up a whole half star. Like, if it had it's a true story. And so you
I'm
can't.
done saying that. It's a condition. Whatever. It's assumed. You know.
Very
whatever.
true. But I'm
Yeah.
saying the director can't make the decision to end the movie there because there is more story to be told, and he's telling a story.
Okay, but no, because here's my argument. Like, yeah, but also there was plenty of questions we had that were never answered at the end of it. That I'm sure they had some sort of conclusion.
That's true. For the
Like,
record,
I don't
anyone
know
who
what
didn't
happened
watch
to
it,
his family.
We don't know what happens to his family.
We can assume that they died. He may not know what happened to his family. Actually, what actually happened to his family. But it's not even talked about.
That's true.
So
Not
yeah,
e-
if you
Not
have
even
the-
in the end movie text.
if you make the creative decision to completely gloss over that, knowing, I mean, that's a pretty big point. But then you go 25 minutes over for the rest of the movie. No, dude, that's a dinger. I don't like
It
that.
is.
Yeah.
It is. Some decisions were made.
Also, we're not Roman Polanski fans.
That's true. This was
he's
my
been canceled. He
first
was
film of his.
canceled. We won't talk about the discussion.
Okay.
We won't talk about it
I didn't know he
because
was.
only because it would because we can't talk about it.
Okay. Well, that's,
And I feel like that's going to be
We're not
it might
that-
happen quite a bit because it's top 100 and there's quite a few movies that but hey, we're rolling through it.
We're not that
We're
kind of
not worried about
podcast.
it. We're having fun here. All right?
we're just laughing. We're having a good time.
My objective coming into recording this was maybe just say his name once to say director, but then we started talking about him quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's just don't.
So the more
we
we say
don't.
Roman
we will-
Polanski's name,
He will not be a fan, or it doesn't matter. We do not endorse that.
I'm not on this podcast to earn the favor of any
However-
directors.
Anyway, yeah, that's true. We should probably, let's keep that clear as well. However, talking about Roman Polanski for a second, fun fact, he originally wanted Joseph Fiennes, beloved brother of Ralph Fiennes. Speaking of the Wes Anderson connection, Ralph Fiennes, he wanted Joseph Fiennes to originally play Vladislav. But at the time, Joseph was pretty involved with musical theater or theater performances, not necessarily on film.
Well, that is pretty interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
I would have brought something different.
You can
but
bust that out at parties,
yeah, I mean, I'm never gonna say that.
or you
sentence
can learn
again
how
in
to
my
play
life.
piano.
I would rather do that.
Have you ever had? This is similar. Ever had a situation where you're like, say that you run into the Adrian Brody of your life is walking around your house unannounced.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you walk around unannounced, and you have the opportunity to report him, but then you point to not a piano or something. You go play, and then he like breaks out, and like turns out he's really good. Is this somebody close to you that has like a hidden talent? It's like phenomenal, and you had no idea. And it's like, well, how long have you been keeping this from us?
Of course. Are you asking me to think of someone off the top of my head?
Well, it appears you already have it.
I don't.
Oh, I thought you said, of course.
I said, of course I have one. I don't.
Yeah, okay.
I said you know who you are.
Oh, okay. So if you could just speak up, call us.
So here's my question for you, because
Okay.
I don't want this to be just too serious, because I feel like almost everything I've said has been way
Well, it's
too-
the Holocaust. I think
that's
you're
true.
doing
You're
pretty
right.
well.
With this is going to be one of those movies
We're all
that
gonna die.
there's not as much room for fun.
Show up.
But here's my question for you.
Okay.
If he had forgotten to play very well, or couldn't, or literally was just too famished to play properly, does the German kill him on the spot? Does he have to be good in that moment to live?
You know what I think what is going through the German's head? I think he was like, I'm going to show this guy up. like this goes back to my original story where I thought there's gonna be
The dueling pianos.
Yeah, he was gonna be like, you know what, this guy, this Jew, I think I could outplay him.
A different version of German supremacy.
Oh, yep.
From his perspective. from his perspective.
From the Christian man's perspective. He goes, maybe
that was implied.
Do you think that was sorry, since we have implied it, you think that was his way of like, I'm gonna share with this with Adrien Brody the gospel
with this Jewish man by letting him live and play the piano.
And play the piano. And he's like, the piano is like our lives. We have a sound based off of who's playing us, but God's playing us.
It's what Christ would have wanted.
Or something like that. I think he was thinking this is going to be a competition. And then Adrien Brody played and he went, never mind. He sat there in the chair.
I can only do Farajaka.
Why did he look so nervous? He was so nervous. Oh, that was the other question. I have another question.
Okay.
You're Adrien Brody. He comes up and he says, you play piano. What song are you playing that you physically, Marty Bedwell, know how to play? Because I was thinking
in the end by Linkin Park.
In the end by Linkin Park.
I can do the do 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 do.
Oh yeah. It starts with
what? Okay, we don't want to get flags.
Yeah. That was too close, Ryan. That was too close. I was thinking My House, or Welcome to My House by Florida.
Okay.
Because I know that.
That's true. That is a pretty groovy.
And the German been like, where did you hear this? Oh, wow. What is this?
He said, this song doesn't come out for another 90 years.
He says, brother, this song slaps.
This is pretty fantastic if I do say myself.
Teenagers play this? Yeah. It's and it's funny because it is kind of his house. He's like, welcome to my house. Because all the Germans are around.
Yeah. So Jacob, we are... gonna probably try to wrap up soon.
All right.
To keep our listeners respect, because I'm sure they love listening to us.
We're like we listeners respect.
That's true. We don't have that.
Yeah, we don't.
So I want to start, and I'll be selfish with this one. I want to take
you go first
because I want to do my role first, and I'm going to be ranking these movies 1 through 100.
Okay.
And for my segment here, I have what is undoubtedly the shortest of any of these that I will get to do because it's our first film.
Okay.
But I do want to say, personally, this is going to not be... I'm not going to say this is movie number 1. I'm going to say this is movie number 100. I do not think it will stay there. But at no point do I want this movie to be the best movie on our list.
Okay.
I'm confident next week's will beat it.
Okay.
And so movie number 100 for the moment is The Pianist.
Okay. All right. Well, to top that, I think I'm going to go a little bit different with you because I'm also going to rank this, but I think
dueling rankings.
Dueling rankings. So I'm going to put it at, this is nowhere a reflection of the rating. We'll talk about rating, but this is not a reflection of it. I would put The Pianist on a like 1 to 100. I will start it off at the best one being 1, the worst one being 100, the middle one being 50, the top of the middle ones being 25, the lower of the middle ones being 75.
So yeah, if you're in that 25 range,
I'm doing second grade math again. Sorry.
If you're in that 25, you're pretty good. If you're in that 75,
it's like percentile situation.
Yeah.
So if I had to, I would put The Pianist at number 89. I was not hot on that.
I'll back you up on that. I think it'll be bottom 25. So ultimately,
you said 100, but
that's true. Is the only movie?
Do you think I think it's going to move? Is that what you're about to ask?
Yes, it will move.
Okay.
So as we watch a movie each week, I will put that movie accordingly. So next week we will have a number.
I'm going to lock mine in.
Write it down. Write it down.
Yeah, I'll remember it.
You'll remember it now. You won't remember it in 3 weeks when we have 4 movies.
Our audience will remember it.
That's probably true. Actually.
I'm gonna lock it in, and then we'll see how much it bites me in the butt.
Okay. Well, now all I'm doing this for is so that next week, all I can say is here's number 99, here's number 100.
Yeah. Okay.
And naturally,
Yes.
plug in place as we go.
Okay.
So
rating.
Rating. How do you want to do it? Out of 10?
No. So there are Ryan, you'll have to help me out with this. It's your musicality. There are 12 key notes to a whole key. Yeah, you count. He's doing second grade math. There's 6. Well, if you count the half steps, there's 12.
It's called 1-2 step.
All right. So on a scale of 1 to 12
That was
keys.
funny, I promise. I'm not doing that.
Was scale of 1 to 12. How good was it?
Oh, okay. Just 1 to 12.
Yeah.
What is 1 perfect? 12?
Yeah, 1 is pitch perfect. 12 is pitch perfect. Everything in between.
Pitch perfect 3.
Yeah, that's how an octave works. 5, sorry. No. Ryan, our third person in the 3 movies.
He's just telling us how much time we have left.
In our 3 movies in a dude podcast.
Surprise, this is only going to have 4 episodes.
All right, scale of 1 to 12, starting at 3, so 3 to 15. What do you give it?
Perfect, 5 out of 7. I will say Marty Bedwell gives this movie a 9. It is... it has some moments that are beautiful.
9.
But it is simply... I mean, I'm trying to respect the fact that I think
that's almost double digits.
Yeah, I'm trying to respect the fact that I do think it's beautiful. It's well made.
75%.
And I appreciated it.
Yeah.
But it is too long for what I think it's going for.
Uh-huh.
And ultimately, I would not recommend it to 9 out of 10 people in my life.
Yeah, that's good. I really don't know how many of these movies I'm going to be recommending. Because it's just the nature of there's some movies that's just it's good, but you don't need to watch it. Okay. I'm
gonna start writing this down. So as you're thinking, I'm gonna get some notes up.
I'm gonna rate mine. I'm gonna give it a C#.
Please tell me the number. I'm not smart.
I have no idea. It depends on what key you're in. Let's see.
We're in Nashville, so that's a good music joke.
B, yeah, it's called the Nashville number system. Look it up. We're all playing guitars and stuff. I would probably, if I'm going with yours, whatever, C#. That sounds like a 7 out of 12 to me.
So you're higher than me.
No, wait, what?
12 is awful, right?
No, 1 to 12, like a percentage, like 1 to. Oh man, if you gotta how many points are you giving it out of 12? You gave it 9 points out of 12?
No, I was saying it was a 9.
No, we already did that for the ranking system. Why would we do that for the rating?
Because I thought you were rating it out of 12.
No. 1 to 12. 12 being really good. It's math. It's second grade math, Marty.
I know. I feel like what I'm saying makes sense.
Yeah, I know you do. That's why you're so emphatically saying it. I'm telling you, you're wrong.
You're this is the only emotion you've showed in the last hour.
Yeah, that's true. It's Adrian Brody's stop screaming.
I'm cold.
Yeah, I'm cold.
We got to wrap it up.
Okay, but you got to.
Okay. No, please clarify to me real quick so I can properly rate it. I'm going to write it down.
Out of 12. It's a percentage. How many points out of 12?
You want to... What?
If you gave it 9 out of 12, that's 75%.
God, we're making me do... Okay. So 75%.
Oh my gosh.
I understand what you're saying, but this is so
convoluted.
Hey,
welcome to 3 Dudes in a Calculator movie podcast.
What a pretentious rankings.
Oh, really? Because we were watching the hit film Pianist, and Pianist summer film.
I give it a 25%.
All right, figure that out. That's 3 out of 12.
3 out of 12.
Wow, you give it a 25%? Do you really? Have you seen The Room? Dude, what's wrong with you?
Oh my gosh, you're right. Okay, we're gonna learn. We're gonna learn. I'm gonna stand.
You're gonna learn. I've already figured it out because it's math.
I didn't care for it all that much.
Okay.
4 out of 12. 4 out of 12. 4 out of 12.
4 out of 12.
Yep. Final answer. I think I understand your ranking. We have 2 minutes. Give your ranking so we can wrap up.
7 out of 12.
Why?
I mean, it's. I don't know. I think my pain threshold to movies is a little bit higher because I've seen some really there's some really bad movies. What would you call if you gave it a 4 out of 12? What would you say? I don't know, the last 3 Pirates of the Caribbean. What would you give that one?
Only seen the first 2.
Okay, what would you give the second one?
Probably a 7 or an 8.
What would you give Transformers? Any of them?
They're all different.
Dark Side of the Moon.
The second one?
Yeah, sure.
Like a 6 or 7.
You think that's better than Pianist?
I think I would rather watch it than The Pianist.
Well, that's not what I asked. This is
That's
rating.
that's what Marty is saying.
I can tell why you're saying it's your favorite. I'm telling you, you're wrong.
We are going to have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah,
Friends,
all right.
we have to wrap up. If you listen, thank you for listening. If you didn't listen, you're not hearing me talk right now.
Do you want to talk about next week's movie? Or do you
Yes,
want me to?
it has been decided. What is it?
Well, so episode 0, we had a little bit of a discrepancy in counting. Dude, I know we said it. It's a movie podcast. It's going to become a math podcast. It's us trying to
We've
figure
done
out.
so much math today.
So I believe Blaze said number 33, right?
He said 32. I counted 33.
So 33 was The Pianist. We watched it. We decided, no, it's at least 100, or according to me, 89. So then we actually counted properly 32, and it is the hit 1962 drama/samurai cinema, 2 hours and 13 minutes, Harakiri.
I'm excited about it.
Which-
Last week, I said I was excited about The Pianist and was disappointed.
Have you seen this one?
No, have you?
I've not. Ryan, have you seen it?
Ryan is not.
Ryan.
All right.
We're not. Watch it.
I will write down our predictions for what we think it is out of 12.
Well, no, it's gonna be different every time.
I know. I'm just saying we predict it.
How many samurai clans are there?
No. Oh, we're doing. That's dope. I like that.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I've been on.
Give it a
before.
percentage then.
Of Harakiri.
Yep. What do you think?
Kirti.
Just what you think.
It's got an 8.6 on IMDb right now, so I'll give it 86. Out of
All
100.
right. I'm gonna expect to like this one. Gosh, that's a pretty good clip. I was gonna probably guess right in the 80s.
I go with the People's Choice.
It's
let me down
I'll
before.
vibe with you. High,
Yeah.
high 80s. Yeah.
All right. Well, should we wrap up?
We should.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening. It means a lot that you took some time to listen to us. I do want to advise, if we are annoying at all, I want you to still listen to us very selfishly.
I don't know that we're annoying.
So we're fun to us. Feel free to listen to us at 1.5.
Ryan has to listen to us.
It gives us the listens, the views.
Yeah.
Listen to us at 1.2, 1.5. Get through it. Leave us a review if you love us. If you're enjoying us, we'll see you next week for Harakiri. I'm excited about it. You got anything you want to say before you head out?
Yeah. Well, subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe.
Find us on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram at 3 Dudes Movie Cast. And then we're working on some interactive elements. And right now all we have is a Gmail set up because we know people love emails, interacting through email. So we'll figure that out. Keep an eye out. And thanks for listening.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good week.
I hope you enjoyed listening to 3 Dudes in a Movie podcast, part of the TDM Media Network. If you like what you heard, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, share it with your friends, and leave a review on your nearest podcasting platform. You can connect with us by following us on Instagram at 3 Dudes Movie Cast, or email us reviews, ideas, questions, etc. directly at tdmoviecast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.